Let me just contact this place just to see, but hopefully by tomorrow, by our meeting, I can give you a for sure go ahead. Does that sound good?
Yeah.
Go ahead and reach out to her.
Yeah, now we're on YouTube streaming.
Okay. Perfect.
Great. Okay. It's like a 30-second delay, so I had to X out of there. So we've got some folks joining us. Sorry, I should have given you a little warning there, Cassandra.
It's okay.
Just wanted to make sure it worked. Okay. Okay, it looks like the box on YouTube has just the active speaker in it. So just something to note. Okay, it looks like the box on YouTube has welcome everyone. Chris, Jessica, nice to see you. Jessica, I'm so glad you were able to get on. I know that was a last minute push there.
Well, thank you. Sorry for last minute joining. I just found out about this yesterday, so it's nice to see you.
You too. How's it going out there?
Thanks. It's good. Garrett just started seeding yesterday. Sorry, my daughter's talking, but
Hey, daughter.
it had rain in months, so hopefully we'll get rain soon. But yeah, how are you doing?
Doing all right. Rolling with the punches, I think.
Yeah, busy. Yeah, thank you so much.
Absolutely. Welcome, Edna.
Good afternoon from Lewis County.
Awesome.
Washington. Yes.
How's it going out there?
Great. Great. I was just commenting that our courthouse, oh, look at the baby.
Yeah.
Our courthouse was built in 1927, so it's almost 100 years old. So it's a pleasure to be working in this building.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's your office?
Yes.
Amazing.
Every day.
And what's
we
your
have
role
elevators.
there? Nice. What's your role there, Edna?
County commissioner.
Amazing.
And I'm a farm girl.
Did you grow up on a grain farm?
A dairy farm. Holstein cattle.
In Washington here?
Primarily in Wisconsin, Illinois. My parents were Dutch immigrants and they always wanted to have a farm of their own. So when they moved to the US, they lived the dream.
Amazing.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. We're really excited to be able to talk with everybody today. This is sort of an announcement call, but we've got a short presentation to start with. So we're just getting everybody on the line here.
I'm eating my lunch too.
Oh, good. Hi, Catherine.
Hi. Can you hear
How
me?
are you?
Say hi. Did I mute? Am I muted?
You're good.
Oh, I'm good. I'm sorry. I should have been on mute. It's good to see people.
We're here. We're still here.
Hi, Jessica.
Oh,
How big your daughter is getting.
she's so cute. How
Look at her
old?
glasses.
She's 3.5.
Oh.
Yeah, she's busy though.
Mhm. What's her name?
Yeah, good to see you guys.
What's her-
Kyla.
Kyla. Kyla, I have glasses like you do.
Yeah, pretty glasses, huh?
Does she help sort grain?
Sometimes, yes. I give her her own grain to sort.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Awesome. And we have two Chris's on the line, Chris Hertel and Chris Engdahl. Am I saying those right?
For me, yes, that was right. Thank you. Thanks for asking.
Absolutely. Where are you tuning in from today?
I am sitting at Lantern Brewing in Seattle.
Oh,
Ah, that's a good place to be right now.
and what are you drinking?
Water at the moment.
Okay.
Yeah. Water everywhere. And that's all I can drink for the moment.
Nice.
I'm excited to be here. Thanks for the thanks for setting up the call and thanks for the invite.
Absolutely. Yeah. And if folks are coming online, if you want to just introduce yourself in the chat, where you're coming from, what your title is, that would help just to kind of get the conversation started and let folks know who's on the line. Looks like we've got a couple more folks joining. See Henry and Joni and Jesse and Jordan and Terry. Welcome everyone. We'll just wait a few more minutes to get started here, but if you want to go ahead and introduce yourself in the chat, we'll get started in just a few seconds here. So welcome Kether, welcome Carrie.
Hi. Hello also.
Hello. We're just having some introductions in the chat and we'll get started in a few minutes here.
Okay.
Also, just so folks know, we are live on YouTube. So this is being recorded and going to be available after the call. And just so you know, you're on the internet. All right, welcome everyone. Hi, Brian. So we've got some folks joining by phone as well. Great, so we'll just go ahead and get started. Welcome everyone to the Cascadia Grains Regional Call. This is a quarterly call for anyone interested in the regional grain shed in the Northwest and beyond to get in touch with each other to share announcements and different initiatives that are coming up. And it always sneaks up on me. I am always surprised that we're coming around on another regional call. So I was thrilled that this week Cassandra Malice from the Craft and Chatham University was available to share with us a little bit about some of the work that they've been doing around Grain and Revolution, the Grain and Revolution conference that they have coming up in November. So we'll hear a little bit from her, and we'll also be able to do some announcement times to talk a little bit about what's going on for you in your world. So before we get started, it's important for us to acknowledge the traditional lands where we currently live. Even in this digital age, it's even more important than ever for us to recognize the land that we're standing on. And I'm personally broadcasting from traditional Makah and Chimicum Klallam territory. This is a picture of my friend Walter McQuillan. His Makah name is Kluatl, and he is the Makah chief in our area. And so just wanted to give a shout out to all the people who have stewarded this beautiful land that we get to call home, and to continue to build that relationship and that acknowledgement of those folks. So thank you to Walter for all your leadership throughout the years, and to all the people who have stewarded the land that we get to enjoy. So the agenda for this call is just a brief overview of our program and Cascadia Grains and the grain movement nationally. Then we'll get into Chatham University and Cassandra and talking about the Grains and Revolution Conference. And then we'll move into announcements, which is going to start with farmers and then move on to other folks on the call to talk about anything that you're working on, any initiatives that you have coming up, or questions that you have, or research that you would like collaboration help with, or any kind of opportunities that you might want this group or others to know about. We are broadcasting live on YouTube to our WSU Food Systems channel. So just so folks know, this is going to be available after the call. So just a little bit about our project manager and communications coordinator for our team, but we also have Laura Lewis, who is our statewide leader, and Nicole Witham, who coordinates the WSU Food Systems team, which is made up of a multidisciplinary team that works statewide. You can connect with us on Fridays. There is an open source phone call that is similar to this format, where there's a presentation by somebody who's in the food system, and then sort of an open announcement time for folks to connect and network. We created this as the COVID-19 hub, but we're now calling it just the hub. You can sign up on foodsystems.wsu.edu/WSUFS COVID-19 hub to get connected to that call. And it's a great way, if you're looking to engage across sectors in Washington State in the food system, to just stay connected to what's happening. So a little bit about the conference. I'm gonna take a sip of water here. Also just want to give a shout out that this background behind me is the Waves of Grain collaboration beer that was made for the conference this past year in 2020. We just barely slid in there before COVID hit. And it was produced by Fremont Brewing. And Brian, do you want to mention something about this? I see you're on the call here.
Sure. So that beer was made with Baroness barley grown by Bill Myers, just north of Colfax, malted as a Pilsner malt here in Spokane, and then hopped generously with Mosaic hops, which Baroness and Mosaic are proving to be like one of my absolute favorite kind of raw material pairings as far as the kind of earthiness of Baronessa is really nice with Mosaic, and like which can tend towards kind of big blueberry notes. But yeah, really solid IPA. It was a fun project. Makes me nostalgic for getting to drink beer with people in person.
I know. When will it happen again? We'll be there when it is time. So thank you, Brian, for that and for all your collaboration throughout the years. The conference, has evolved over 8 years, 2,400 attendees, 180 classes. It started as a project from the Bread Lab and Thurston County Extension and a risk management grant, and it turned into this amazing gathering of brewers, bakers, distillers, and folks just across the value chain of grain who come together in January to talk about how to make a regional grain economy work. I know many of you have been at the conference, so I don't need to tell you what's happening, but we did a working group session last year, thankfully, and we're able to kind of see, who the audience was that was coming to the conference. As you can see, a lot of home bakers and professional bakers in the crowd. And what we really distilled were these values of the group. So we open sourced and crowdsourced, what are your values as the Cascadia Grains cohort? And these were what we what were listed as the top values of the group. So domestic and local regional markets, environmentally sound practices, cultural relevance, taste and flavor, equitable access, health and nutrition. And so we use this as our ethos to when we think about the projects that we take on and how to push this conversation of local grains forward in the Northwest. We are encouraging you to sign up on the listserv. It's an opt-in listserv. You can sign up on tinyurl.com/CGC listserv. And it's an unmoderated discussion list for resource sharing in the Northwest around grains. So that's just another resource to use if you're interested. I wanted to mention some of the other people around the nation who are doing this work. You can see all of these partners here who are connecting folks across the value chain in this conversation. When COVID first hit, we tried to get these folks together on some national calls, which has evolved into the Appalachian Staple Foods Collaborative, creating more of a national network, which is no longer sort of in our hands, but we get to participate in it, which is how we got connected to Cassandra, one of the featured speaker for today. There's also a regional grains map that shows the initiatives that are happening across the state. So if you're interested in that, the Artisan Grains Collaborative has put this together, and it's available on graincollaborative.com/grain map. So if you're curious about what's happening in other parts of the country, you can check that out. So for today's call, this was the breakdown of folks who I have on my list and where they're coming from. You can see a lot of folks are coming from King County. At least this is who registered. I'm not sure who's actually on the call. Maybe we should do some polling next time to see where folks are tuning in from. But this is just from registrant data. And then you can see again, lots of home bakers and professional bakers, producers and farmers, resource providers such as myself and other folks who kind of help producers and farmers. And you can see producers and farmers at around 10% of the folks who sign up for this call. So just so you're kind of oriented on who's in the room, that's who we've got on our lists. And with that, I'm gonna introduce Cassandra Malice, who's the program manager for CRAFT, or the Center for Regional Agriculture, Food and Transformation at Chatham University. And she's also the project manager for the Grains and Revolution Conference, which is coming up on November 5th. It's free. It's a national conference. We are involved as a sponsor and as, we're on the steering committee as well. So we're really thrilled to be partnering with them for this event. And Cassandra, do you want to go ahead and share your screen?
I think I'm just going to talk if that's okay. And I'm probably going to, right now, I'm just going to drop some links into the chat.
Okay, great.
Of where people can learn a little bit more about the conference. So here is our website, and then Squarespace has been kind of tricky today for, I think, everyone. So I'm also just going to put the direct registration link in the chat so people can register. And thank you so much, Abba. Thanks for having me today, and thanks for just all your help with the conference and Cascadia Grains supporting this endeavor. And I'm really excited to tell all of you about what we have planned. And I think I should start a little bit with what CRAFT is and kind of what we do. So CRAFT is a center that is connected to Chatham University, and specifically within the School of Sustainability at Chatham. So Chatham has a master's in food studies and a master's in undergrad in sustainability. And so that's kind of where we live. We're about 3 years old at this point, and we were formed kind of with the idea of being a practicum site for students and graduate students to work on food systems and get real world experience working with grants and you know, kind of across the sector. And so our mission at CRAFT is to create a more sustainable, equitable, and inclusive food system. And we do that through research. We do quantitative and qualitative research through education and also through food business support. And kind of one thing we've done from the beginning is really focused in on grains and kind of working within the regional grains economy in the Pittsburgh and Pennsylvania area. We like to say tri-state. So Pennsylvania, Ohio, West Virginia is kind of where a lot of our focus is. And yes, we've been like really lucky to connect with all of these national grain partners since COVID, kind of thanks to Cascadia Grains and them pushing that movement forward. And so, we were originally going to do a grain conference in person that was supposed to happen in July, but with everything, we obviously canceled that and decided that we wanted to forge ahead with a virtual event that really focused on amplifying and centering people of color working in the grains industry. So we wanted to make sure that we highlighted bakers, millers, farmers, brewers, eaters, consumers, you know, people that are working in the grains industry to showcase the diversity that exists within people working, but also the diversity of grains as well. I think so often we view grains through a Western lens, and we love sourdough, we love baguettes, but there's also an incredible array of other products being made with a very diverse number of grains. So that's kind of how this conference came to be. Right now, we are working with a number of organizations, and I see a lot of people actually on this call who have been helping us, which is great. We've been working nationally with a number of organizations to help us make sure that this event has a national focus. And we also, from the beginning, built a steering committee of people to make sure that this event was being put on in an equitable and inclusive way as well. So kind of with everyone's support, we are almost ready to announce, but I'm going to give you guys a little sneak peek, I guess, all of our speakers for the day and the schedule for the day. So we are starting the day with a, and I guess I can put up I'll share my screen okay, perfect. Thanks, Ava. So we have our first panel is going to be on community grain projects. And with this panel, we really want to showcase all of the incredible work that's happening in communities right now that uses grains as a vehicle to make change within communities. So for this panel, we have the Chicago Bread Club. We have Chef Fresh from the Chicago Bread Club will be talking. We have Don Guerra from Barrio Bread will be a panelist, and Mary Carey from the Braddock Community Bread Oven, which is a bread oven right outside of Pittsburgh, will be panelists. And Amy, who's on this call, hi Amy, will be moderating that panel. So we're very excited for that conversation. We also have a panel on, which is going to be a conversation with women of color working in grain. And so for this panel, we have two bakers that are incredible and from kind of all over the country of Mariela Camacho and Rachel Bernier Green. And we also have Zianta Desi, who we're very excited about. She's a teff farmer in California, kind of cracking the code on growing teff in California. And she also is a chef and has a restaurant. And she works with the Ethiopian government to grow teff there, and kind of she's attacking the supply chain very head on. So very inspiring work from her as well. And then our third conversation for the day is a seed saving and food sovereignty panel. where we are featuring a number of traditional growers, including Becky Webster, who is an independent farmer and a member of the Oneida Nation. We also have Angela Ferguson from the Onondaga Nation in New York. She's a traditional corn grower, and hopefully a couple other people that we're just confirming this week, making sure we have the right translation services available. So that's going to be a really exciting panel as well. Again, kind of focusing on the diversity of grains that exist within this country. And then additionally, something that's not on the website is we are partnering with Deer Creek Malt House out of Philadelphia to host a happy hour event that focuses on sharing brewers and breweries in Pennsylvania that are using their platform to make social and agricultural change. So we have a number of breweries that are helping with that, including Trogs and Harris Brewery, and one more that's escaping me right now, but it's a really exciting panel. And also Mark at Deer Creek is going to be brewing a beer for the event, kind of like the Cascadia beer that was brewed for the conference. So the beer should be available in Pennsylvania breweries. We're thinking of around 75 different Pennsylvania breweries before the event happens. So the happy hour is also going to include a tasting component as well. And then we have a number of baking demos throughout the day with different, we have an Indian chef doing Indian breads. Rachel Bernier Green is doing breads from her, or she's doing a brownie recipe. She uses all local grains in what she does. And then Brian Ford will be doing his mother's tortilla recipe. So we're really excited about this day. I hope that you all can join us virtually. And because, you know, we're trying to make this as collaborative as an event as possible, I welcome anyone who wants to be involved in a deeper way. Please contact me. I'm going to put my email address in the chat as well. We would love anyone. Yeah, and there it is too. Thanks, Alba. Yeah, we welcome participation. So please feel free to reach out, and I hope that we can see all of you on November 5th.
Excellent. Thanks so much, Cassandra. Does anyone have any questions for her? You could either pop them in the chat, or you can unmute yourself and ask. And if you're on the phone and you're muted and you can't figure out why, just press *6 and that will unmute you.
Cool. Well, everyone, you can also email me too if you think of a question later.
Awesome. And when is the registration closing?
It'll pretty much be open until the day of. It's a free event, so we don't have to worry about it too much. I guess we'll close it a couple days before just to keep ourselves sane.
Okay, great.
Yeah, but again, we'll be also broadcasting it on YouTube and things like that. So if you don't register, there's still a way to participate.
Great. Any questions or comments for Cassandra before we move on to our announcement lists, or just any comments, any kudos, any other, hey, I need to talk to you about this, or you should reach out to these folks, or have you considered this? Now's the time.
Thanks, Catherine. Thanks for your comment.
Amy, do you want to add anything? I know you're moderating that first panel.
Just that I'm really excited to have a bread conference that is not bread centered. You know, a lot of this grain stuff gets so focused on the possibilities of bread, and staple crops are so much broader. And so the diversity that is going to happen here this day is overdue in our excitements for grains. So I'm so happy that Chatham is undertaking this.
Thanks, Amy.
Yeah, I'd like to second that. This is Joni with Snacktivist, and my company makes breads out of bizarre grains that nobody else uses. So I am so excited that there's a you know, a collective dialogue happening here with diversity within our staples and our grains and things we can make bread out of.
Thank you, Joni. That's great.
All right, well, make sure to sign up and tune in on November 5th for the Grains and Revolution Conference. And I know it's also a part of a 2-day conference that's from Chatham's Food and Uncertain Times. So if you're interested in the second day, that's also included in registration if you want to sign up for that as well. I don't know if you want to speak to that a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks for bringing that up. So we partnered with a group of students that every year they usually put on a conference in the fall anyway. And so we partnered with them to make this a 2-day event. Grains and Revolution is day 1 and their day Navigating a New Normal is day 2. They both kind of fall into this pandemic food system topic. So that's why we kind of grouped them together, but they have some great panels on alternative economies. They have one on storytelling. It's going to be a great day as well. So definitely sign up for both if you're free on both days.
Awesome. And I know that we'll be curious to hear how that Deer Creek Malt House collaboration goes and how you guys implement distribution and just the interactive nature of that kind of piece of it. So we want to definitely keep in touch and maybe have you do a report back on how it all went maybe after the conference. So
definitely, we would love that. It's going to be exciting. Unfortunately, because of Pennsylvania regulations, we can't distribute it outside of the state. But I think it'll be a good way to focus on some amazing breweries and people doing good work in the state. So we'll report back.
Definitely. And maybe a model to explore, like, what if every state made their collaboration beer and then distributed it, you know?
Absolutely.
Or at least more. Yeah. Great. Okay, well, let's move into our announcement time. This is really a chance for you to have the opportunity to talk about your work, what you're up to, what you're growing, what you're baking, what you're brewing, what you're distilling. And I sort of just call on folks who I see on the line and make sure that we have everybody get everybody the chance to speak. So I'm just going to do roll call here. And start with Catherine because she's right next to me in my Zoom box. Catherine Curley, if you want to go first, are you okay with that?
Sure, I'm okay with that. Thanks, Abba.
And just for folks to know, it's like maybe a minute, and then if there's questions, then we'll just ask them real quick, and then we'll move on to the next person. So just a quick tweet about what you're up to.
Yep, I take my cue from you. I'm practicing my fast talking. So Northwest Bread Bakers started a project in the time of COVID called Community Loaves. And we made our first donation with 4 people and 19 loaves on April 4th. And today have now donated 3,288 loaves to the food pantries. And we have 140 bakers, quarantine bakers, both professional and home bakers contributing to the project. It's 3 tons of bread that have been donated. Community home, say they're honey oat pan loaves. And so they're a sandwich bread. They are 55% whole grain. We are sourcing our flour locally. It is a donation of time, talent, and treasure on the part of the baker. They actually do purchase the flour, and that is a contribution to the grain shed. They are purchasing the local flour that we spec out in the Community Loaves formula, which is all the same. And we have quite the aggregation of hubs to get all the loaves to the pantry. And so if you would like to know more, you can email me, but that's one of the big things that we've been up to since we last got together.
Awesome, Catherine. Thank you so much. Does anyone have questions for Catherine or comments? Great. If you want to get in touch with any of these folks after the call, you can always email me. And I have to apologize because I just broke my own rule, which is that farmers go first. And so I apologize to all the farmers on the call. Jessica, do you want to step in here and go next and share?
Hi, sure. Yeah. So yeah, Garrett, my husband, he just started seeding yesterday. It's so dry here. Like I was telling Abba earlier, we haven't had rain in months. but hopefully rain
Where are you
soon.
tuning in from?
Oh, sorry. Near Tri-Cities, Washington. We're in Horse Heaven, Prosser area. So yeah, so just started seeding. COVID hasn't affected us much really. We had a few extra boxes of grain go out in the mail. We sell by mail. We have a website, moonfamilyfarm.com, if anyone's interested. I did get to meet Jordan Petrum yesterday. He came and picked up some grain and it was wonderful. It was a lot of fun. And so yeah, had a couple visits here and there, but yeah, just growing just our winter, well, we're seeding our winter wheat. We do have some sequoia flour available through Cairn Spring now. So we sent a truckload of that to them and they milled it. And I think it's available for purchase now. So other than that, I can't really think of anything else. It's great to see you guys.
Definitely. I know it feels like it's been ages.
Mm-hmm.
That's great. So if folks want to get their hands on that flour, how can they do that?
I think you could go to Cairn Spring Mills online, I think is where they're selling it now. Or maybe check out their social media and see about it. But it's something that I just heard it was kind of available. I haven't been officially like told like, hey, your flour is available here or there, but it was available through Charlie's Produce, but that's been kind of hit or miss if people can get a hold of it there.
And we have a question in the chat, which is from Jesse Swisher, which is, what is sequoia flour? Is that a variety of wheat?
Yeah, so sorry. It's a hard red winter wheat and it grows very tall. It's kind of reddish in color. It's got kind of a unique flavor. A lot of people are using it for like pizza and bread, and they seem to like it.
Awesome, great question. Are there any other farmers on the call? Jordan, I know you were kind of you were mentioned. Do you wanna hop on here?
So I have to get everything kind of back going again. Yeah, just I'm part of Northwest. I'm a home baker, part of Northwest Bread Bakers, part of the community bread project that Catherine has set up and has been, you know, really something over the last couple of months where you can actually feel like you're helping move things forward. Other than that, you know, not a lot going on, you know, staying at home mostly, but decided to do the long drive over to Prosser yesterday and did get to meet Jessica and her daughter. Got a tour of the farm, which I found absolutely fascinating. So, you know, keeping it going, trying to keep things, you know, kind of in context these days. That's about it.
Awesome. It's great to see you on the call. Are there any other farmers that want to chime in and share some updates? I see there are a couple of folks tuning in on the phone, hoping that you'd be able to share if you want to. All right, let's move to Terry Wright. Terry, are you available for an update?
I am. So in case people don't know, I'm with Shepherd's Grain. Shepherd's Grain is 36 wheat farmers over in Eastern Washington that grow sustainable regenerative wheat. And so we are the flour company of that. And at the beginning of, for COVID, at the beginning of the COVID, this whole thing, this whole mess, our farmers decided that they wanted to donate what they could And so they gave us an allotment of about $60,000 worth of flour to donate to food banks and various places that were helping restaurant workers. And so we spent the first few months really figuring out where the flour was needed the most. And so we donated to several different food banks, all in both Oregon, Portland area, Eastern Washington, Seattle area, and Idaho. And then also to several restaurants that had started feeding restaurant workers. They were able to get some from us. So that was wonderful. And that some of them have put flour in to what do you call it, boxes of weekly food donations. So that's worked out really well. Our big news though, besides that, is that we have just transferred from using ADM as our mill. We have now, as of October 1st, gone with Graincraft. And Graincraft we're really excited about it because they're really going to help us grow nationally rather than just staying in the Pacific Northwest. So since we're really all about sustainability and saving the soil, it's really wonderful to be able to get our word out to nationwide instead of just sticking with the Northwest. So that's our news.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Terry. That's a huge shift.
It is really, it's amazing. It's been an interesting shift. And Graincraft, they actually came to us because they needed a sustainability product. And so that's what we're doing. And it's just started. So as of the first of this month, all of the distributors are getting their flour out of Pendleton, Oregon. So, and all versions of flour will be coming out of there.
Wow, amazing. Well, we'll definitely need to keep in touch as things unfold for you all and how that's interacting and just evolving for you all.
Yes, definitely.
Thanks for being on the call.
Well, thank you for having me and all of us. It's really fun to hear what's going on with everybody.
Excellent. And I see David Keisel just joined the call. I don't mean to put you on the spot, but we were trying to prioritize farmers and their announcements. If you want to unmute and share a little bit about what's going on for you, where you're tuning in from and what you're working on in these times, just a little soundbite.
I would love to, except I'm driving down to Woodland to clean some grain with Lena Lightman of the California Grain Camp.
Hi, David.
Hello, Lena.
She's on the call.
Hey.
Good. Okay. Well, since
I found the Zoom link you sent me.
I can't really drive and talk, so I'm just going to listen in and let Lena update with anything. Suffice to say, I'm trying to secure a facility here in Woodland for production that also has storage capacity and has a lot of interesting opportunities. So stay tuned. It's a work in progress. Okay. Thanks you all for organizing this.
Love it. Love it. Lena, do you want to chime in here?
Hi. Yes.
Where are you tuning in from?
Well, the very funny thing is that I am here at the Center for Land-Based Learning in Woodland waiting for David.
And that's in California, right?
So we're in Northern California. I'm based in Los Angeles. But yeah, I was able to listen in to the first half of this call. Abba, David has connected meeting. And I did get to listen to Cassandra introduce the Greens and Revolution conference, which I am thrilled about. I'm really excited. I've had the chance to connect with her on that. And it just feels like they're hitting the spot. The main thing that I'm working on is our new Golden State Grains website. I don't know if Claudia Carter has maybe jumped on with you folks to introduce that project. And I've been working very closely with her on that site. And what I would say is just right now, we're doing a very cool Zoom series connected to the site in order to engage people, but also just around holding a lot more space and conversations for a lot of it farmers and the state grain farmers, but all sorts of grain stakeholders. So things around fire, things around accessing resources. So a good place to stay abreast of that and all kinds of other things is to go to forum.goldenstategrains.com.
Awesome. And I've totally stalked you online, Lena. We have to talk. And I just put that website in the chat as well, if folks want to check that out.
Yeah, I will put it there. Sorry, I guess my connection's not great.
Oh no, I just popped it in there.
Perfect. Thank you.
Awesome. Cool. I love that a grain transfer is happening right now in the same time zone, and we get to talk to you both at the same time.
Yeah, it's really funny how this happened, but we're gonna clean some grain today. So maybe also go to the Golden State Grains Instagram account, and maybe you can visit later.
Awesome. Pro tip. Love it. Awesome as well. Edna, do you want to unmute and share and introduce yourself and talk a little bit about where you're coming from? Edna Fund, are you still on the line? You still with us?
I'm trying to unmute myself.
There she is.
There I am.
All right.
So you probably have heard that we have at our Chehalis port, we have an offload facility. So our barley can go down to Vancouver. And we are very happy for our farmers to have that opportunity. They had grown for many years for a cannery, and the cannery is now growing crops in Eastern Washington. So with this project, it really helped provide a livelihood for our farmers. And this is the first year, and our farmers are very happy to have this grain to grow and have a place to sell it.
Awesome. And just so folks who are maybe less familiar with the project, can you just give a kind of an overview of the Chehalis Rail Spur and the kind of the project that's happening down there?
Okay, so in the Chehalis port, we spent, and I say we, county, distressed county funds, and we helped put a rail spur there, and it will be used for other sources, but it was for the grain transfer. So it was thinking about the first day it was used and seeing farmers there with their trucks and offloading and having an opportunity. It was really an answer. So, you know, Lewis County, we're known for flooding. We're known for having a coal mine that's closing. And sometimes we've just not had a lot of positive things to talk about. But with this rail spur that can help the farmers get the barley to Vancouver, it's just been a real positive thing for us. And it was a multitude of agencies that worked together to make it happen for us.
That's awesome, Edna. It's a really exciting project. And is there a way that folks can stay abreast of what's happening? Is there a website you can pop in the chat?
I will think about that.
Okay.
Chehalis Port has put it on their website, and I know Mr. Peroni does a lot of that information gathering. Let me look.
Okay, sounds good. And in the meantime, we'll move on to Rachel. Rachel Wow, I think. Did I say it right? Your last name? Are you there? We'll see if we can come back to her. Brian, do you want to unmute and give a little update?
Sure thing. Yeah, so this is Brian Estes with the Link Farmers Cooperative out in Spokane in Eastern Washington. And Yeah, we have been fortunate to have stayed very busy at the malt house. We've had a lot of fun and some pretty complex logistical realities the last 2 months or so, as we've got a number of breweries who have dove headfirst into like helping coordinate barley production with local farms in their necks of the woods, to then turn around and get it malted and into beers, coinciding with some of the like harvest season and fresh hop beers. We're lucky that we've got a great reference point in Eastern Washington State in the hop industry that helps, I think, brewers appreciate beer as an agricultural ingredient. So we're having fun throwing barley into the mix of that. But we've also, so Link as a growers co-op also operates a wholesale distribution enterprise, moving of kind of the full gamut of products, grains, and otherwise. And that has been a really big focus of mine and ours over these last 6 months, as we've really tried to adjust that business line to our current reality. So, yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like you all had such a pivot with COVID, and just, yeah, I'd love to catch up sometime and just hear about wholesale, retail, pivot.
For sure.
How you guys have stayed above water. I mean, it's been
Yeah, I think that the big takeaway for me has been, as daunting as all of this has been as a relatively young and small company, that our food systems focus and our kind of respective scale has allowed us to be very nimble in ways that just larger and more conventional food companies might be. I think the opportunity to be thinking about food systems approaches to ag enterprise as a way to protect against major market disruptions is something that's always been talked about, but I think we're in a little bit of a proving stage on that, and we're doing all right. So that feels pretty good.
That it would be incredible to look into just resiliency and in terms of scale of operations, maybe not necessarily through the Cascadia Grains work, but the food systems as food systems, and just talk to you more and maybe talk a little bit about how we could kind of show that and what you're talking about in terms of proof of concept.
For sure.
Across the state. So awesome. Thanks, Brian. Carrie Johnson, do you want to go next?
Hi, yeah, I'm just here for my internship with the Appalachian Staple Foods Collaborative. So Michelle wanted me to join in on the call and like take notes for our newsletter.
You're being forced to hang out with us.
Well, I enjoy it too.
What's your focus with the internship?
I just write the newsletter. So I just cover like these calls and who's in them, what's going on, stuff like that.
Do you want to mention a little bit about the newsletter? Because that's a huge body of work that you all are putting together nationally.
Yeah, it really is. We have a regional one in Appalachia, and then we also cover staple grains, just like everyone who's in our network. It's a lot. It's like a lot amount of work goes into it, and we cover like a lot of different things. This edition of the newsletter is on indigenous food practices and like harvest season. So anything that's relative to that is what we'll be writing about this time around.
And how can people sign up for the newsletter?
Great question. You would have to reach out to Michelle, and I can send her email in the chat in a couple minutes.
Okay, great. I can also send, if you want to send me a little blurb, I can put it out in the report out from this meeting. Just say, hey, if you want to get on this national email list to learn about national initiatives, contact Michelle. So if you
That'd be great. Thank you.
Sure. Kether, do you want to go? I think somehow you got switched around in my Zoom window, so I missed you.
Sure. Yeah, let's see. Main Stem Malt is the project that I work for, we're based out of Walla Walla. Right now, COVID has been certainly a big stressor for us. It impacted a lot of our brewers and distillers. And then it's COVID plus the complications of fire season has made everything quite complicated in Southeast Washington and further north. We're grateful for our partners, our farmer partners and our toll malters. Brian is one of them at Link. And we also work with Skagit Valley. I don't think I have a ton to report on beyond that. We're just in the middle of production and trying to get all of the logistics oriented so that grain ends up in the place that it's supposed to at the right time so that it can be malted and distributed. Yeah.
Well, thanks for taking time out of your day to connect with us. I know you all have so much going on to just deal with and pivot.
Happily, I'm glad this happens. I've never been to one before, but I'll come again because there's so many things I'm learning about.
Nice. Excellent. And I want to make sure we get to the rest of the folks on the call. Jesse Swisher, do you want to unmute and share a little bit?
Hi, I'm just a student in Masters of Food Studies program at Chatham University in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And I'm finishing up my master's degree, my thesis on regional grain initiatives. So I'm looking at initiatives all around the country and beyond, and just here to learn and learning a lot.
Awesome. We need you. We need that work. Thank you.
Thank you. This is really awesome.
Henry Wong, do you want to unmute and share a little bit?
Yeah, thanks, Abba. Oh, sorry.
There you
Fixing
are.
my camera there. So we're getting ready for an event, so I had my backgrounds on. Yeah, I'm more of a kind of a casual observer on this call. So we're on the technical assistance side. So I work for Business Impact Northwest. We're a nonprofit technical assistance provider, and we have a food business resource center focused on supporting food and farm businesses, primarily in Washington State, and then also Oregon, Idaho, and Alaska. And I'll put a bunch of links in the chat. But if you know any, particularly, we have some programs going on specifically for farmers in King County. So if you have any connections in those areas, definitely take a look at a couple links. So we have a position opening, and then we also have a e-commerce program that we're running for farmers in King County.
Awesome. Thanks, Henry. Thanks for taking time out of your day to join us today.
Absolutely.
Chris Engdahl, do you want to unmute and share? Let's see.
Certainly. Thanks. I'm Chris Engdahl. My wife Lori and I run Lantern Brewing. We are a small brewery in Seattle whose focus is really on using as much regionally and locally sourced material as we can in our beer. I've been learning a great deal as a brewer, first just about the role of a variety of grains throughout the history of brewing. That's one of my areas of interest. But the more that I learned, the more I realized that there were opportunities for other small breweries to embrace in a larger way locally grown grains, and not just barley, but lots of other types of grain. So that's our kind of production focus at the moment. Trying to figure out how to really wrap our heads around the diversity, the supply of a lot of different grain out there, and how to bring that then to not just the glass in front of somebody to drink, but we want to bring those grains and the idea that they are meaningful to the glass and get somebody to think a little bit before they drink the beer. And we want to try to spur people to think a little harder about local food systems through what we're doing.
Yes, please, to all of that. I know I wish I had a congressman come up to me at one of our events and say, you guys need a huge media campaign to help drive this. So it's always on my mind about how can we change the culture of understanding around grain and where it comes from. So it sounds like you're kind of hitting on some of those points.
We see that as a very important role for ourselves, and I would like to see other breweries embrace that, because we're just upstream from the consumer, right? And so we serve as a filter for a lot of information about the material that we transform into beer. And I'm constantly surprised that there is so little information coming through that filter and so much focus on the act of creating the beer rather than celebrating the origin of the materials. So that's part of what we're trying to change. And that's why I'm so happy to be working with this group and looking forward to working with others and a larger group as well.
Awesome. Thanks so much for all your work, Chris. And we've got a few more folks on the line. We've got Joni and Amy and Rachel, and then a 360 number. Rachel, do you want to try unmuting again? I know we weren't able to hear you last time. If you're still there. Okay, let's move on to Joni.
Hi. Can you hear me? I've just unmuted and turned on my video for just a minute, but I'm Joni with Snacktivist. And yeah, again, I've missed the last couple of these calls, so I've missed the community. Thanks for having me back. And we've got some very interesting things going on with Snacktivist this year. My company has started by baking mixes and finished product goods focused on diversified ancient grains and with a gluten-free focus. However, this winter we are expanding and doing some cool piloting of collaborative projects with regenerative wheat farming and people who are transitioning to regenerative practices in wheat, and looking at some hybridized products that we take the best of the ancient grain world and we blend it with wheats, which is really fun. I'm so excited to finally get to this place. You know, talking to Link about maybe some sprouting, just really exploratory at this point, which is exciting. And then we also have a project we're working with Dr. Murphy's lab at WSU and Julianne Kellogg and all of those guys with the WeSARE grant. So we're actively participating with that as a value-added stakeholder and working to farm to fork, help move forward with the farm to school project for the state of Washington, working with Proso millet varieties being grown in Eastern Washington and blending them with wheat and non-wheat ingredients to make freshly made baked goods for school children in the school districts. So that's really exciting too. Lots of cool stuff going on. So if anybody wants to collaborate or learn more, reach out to me. I'm always happy to have a conversation. Thanks.
Awesome, Joni. That's wonderful news that you're collaborating with Kevin's lab. That's exciting.
Yeah.
I really hope that goes through. I know we're in on that for a couple of things. So we'll be, if that happens, we'll be working together, which will be exciting.
Yeah, it's so cool. So, I mean, thanks to Cascadia, that's how I teamed up with those guys too. And I have a background in soil sciences and I'm a botanist as well. So it's so fun working with academia again. I really have missed it. So thanks to you guys. I'm getting to get that jolly again back in my life.
Love it.
Yay.
Well, happy we can be the conduits for that. Amy Halloran, do you want to unmute and share?
Sure. Thanks for asking. And so I work with both the Artisan Grain Collaborative in the Midwest on communications and the Northeast Grain Shed in the Northeast on various things. Both of these organizations got some USDA grants with a bevy of partners including Grow NYC Grains, and Chatham Craft. So we're super excited. We have a lot of work to do and it's pretty fun. Looking forward to it. And then personally, I'm working on a lot of history stuff right now. I'm writing about the history of factory bread in my city of Troy, New York, to try to understand that transition and our contemporary transition to different breads. I'm giving a talk for the culinary history enthusiasts of Wisconsin tonight, and I'll be writing about it on my newsletter, Dear Bread.
Awesome. Thanks, Amy.
Sure.
Just got a couple more minutes, so I just want to see, Rachel, it seems like you were able to unmute. Do you want to go for it?
Yeah, thank you. Sorry about that. Of course, that's the same time that my puppy starts destroying things. But yeah, so I just wanted to say hi. My name is Rachel Watt. I am the director and founder of the Museum of Food and Culture, which is currently a very new museum, hopefully one that will be in person at some point in time. And in terms of how we're responding to COVID-19 right now, we're kind of trying to figure out different programming that intersects with social justice in a variety of different ways. So we got our launch programming that'll hopefully last for about a year right now.
Amazing. Yeah, I definitely want to connect with you after the call. You're involved with the Grains and Revolution conference, is that right?
Yes, I am.
Great.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. And there's a 360 number, 360-915-3209. Do you want to go ahead and unmute and share? I know we've got just a minute left, but I want to make sure we have some space and time for you to share if you'd like to.
Okay. Does that work this time?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Well, I'm working on kind of the other side of the project, and that is the waste side and looking at when breweries, distilleries are ready to turn their waste into its post-life, using a digester and turning that into energy. So I really looking at the afterlife of grains as a feedstock to create transportation energy for like freight mobility. So anyway, that's where I'm looking at the grains world from. So a wonderful presentation. Everything you guys are doing is fabulous and really exciting to hear what's happening. Thank you.
And who are you? Where are you tuning in from?
Jeff Miller in Olympia, Washington. We're working on a digester project in Lewis County, but Impact Bioenergy, if you've heard of Impact Bioenergy, is the digester that we're getting ready to deploy.
Awesome.
But looking at consistent feedstock and instead of turning it into, a tippage fee, turning it into a value added where it's almost as valuable as the beer that you're brewing with it. So that's our goal. Thanks.
Amazing. Would you be able to reach out to me after this just so we can connect? I just have a few questions for you.
Yeah, certainly. I could do that.
I'm just going to pop my email. Actually, my email is a little bit here. Can you see the screen or the chat?
No, I had to get in through the phone line. So if you could just text me to this number, that would be great. And then I can get right with you.
All right. Sounds good. Well, I know we're at the top of the hour. No, thank you so much for joining. And I just wanted to remind you about our Food Systems Hub. If you like this kind of format and want to stay in touch with our team, we have a lot more projects that we're working on other than grain. It's a great way to stay connected with a lot of stakeholders across the state. Again, just a reminder about the listserv. That's an opt-in listserv for grains in the Northwest. You can sign up on tinyurl.com/CGC listserv. And then just a big thank you to Cassandra and all the folks who are putting on the Grains and Revolution conference. Here's our website and my contact information if you're interested in getting in touch. The next regional call is January 6th. I know we'll be post-holidays, but who knows? Maybe we'll be begging for some other time with our cohort after that. So we hope that you can join us for that. If you've signed up on the Google form and posted that you want to receive updates, you'll automatically receive an invitation, a calendar invite to the next call. And feel free to share this with your cohorts. There is a public sign up for these calls on our website as well, if you know anybody who might be interested. So thanks again. The chat, I will download the chat as per Joni's request here. That's a great idea. And send it out with meeting notes. And the video from this call is also going to be available on our YouTube channel, and I'll send a link to that as well. So I know folks have got to get to their next meeting, so I'll let you go. But thanks again for joining us, and we'll see you January 6th for the next call. Awesome. Thank you, Terry.